There is a huge difference between trying to manifest it and programming yourself to manifest. Trying requires constant effort. Programming creates inevitability. Most people only manifest when they are motivated, when they are focused, when they are emotionally inspired, and then they lose the state and lose the result. But there is another way, a way where you don't need to force yourself all the time, where the process continues even when you're not thinking about it, where the result begins to move because your internal pattern has already been updated. Manifestation on autopilot is not magic. It's programming, and programming begins before the day begins. 1. Program your pattern before sleep. The most powerful moment of your day is not when you wake up, it's when you fall asleep. The last state of the day defines the beginning of the next cycle. When you sleep, your conscious mind slows down. The critical part decreases, and what remains active is the emotional pattern you sustained in the final minutes before closing your eyes. If you sleep thinking about worry, the brain consolidates worry. If you sleep feeling scarcity, the system reinforces scarcity. If you sleep reviewing problems, you strengthen the old scenario. But if you use that moment strategically, you install a new pattern. Mentally rehearse the reality you want to consolidate, not as exaggerated fantasy. As a natural scenario, visualize yourself living it normally, not with euphoria, with familiarity. Imagine a simple conversation inside that new reality. Imagine your posture, your breathing, your calmness. Feel the naturalness of already living that experience. Naturalness is the key point. The brain learns from what feels common, not from what feels extraordinary. Mentally eliminate any opposing scenario. If doubt arises, don't enter debate. Just return to the version you chose to sustain. Don't argue with the old thought. Ignore it and reinforce the new one. Internally declare the new direction as definitive, without dramatizing, without exaggerating, just with firm decision. Something like, this is how I operate now. Fall asleep, sustaining the identity of the version that already has it. Don't ask, don't beg, don't wait. Sleep like someone who has already decided. When you do this repeatedly, the subconscious begins to accept this identity as the standard reference. And when identity changes, the automatic changes with it. 2. Assume the identity of the one who has already received you. Don't manifest things. You manifest versions of yourself. Every external reality is a reflection of an internal identity. If you still perceive yourself as someone trying, waiting, lacking, the field responds to that version. Ask yourself honestly, who do I become when this materializes? More confident, more calm, more decisive, more organized, more secure. That version already potentially exists. What's missing is embodying it now. Adjust posture, language, and decisions to the new level. Physical posture influences emotional state. Internal language influences identity. Small decisions confirm pattern. Stop referring to yourself as someone in lack. Avoid phrases like, when I get it, if it happens someday, it hasn't worked yet. That reinforces distance. Internally, normalize the new pattern. Start acting like someone who already operates at that level. You don't need to fake external results, but you can adopt the internal posture now. If you want prosperity, think like someone who manages growth. If you want recognition, behave like someone who knows their value. If you want a healthy relationship, act like someone emotionally stable. Sustain coherence between desire and behavior. That coherence eliminates vibrational noise. When identity and desire align, you don't need to remind the universe what you want. You are already operating at the corresponding frequency, and autopilot begins to adjust. 3. Neutralize opposing thoughts at the exact moment. Automatic programming requires protection, not dramatic protection. Strategic protection. The old pattern will try to return, not because it's strong, but because it's familiar. Observe doubtful thoughts without dramatizing. Most people make the mistake of going to war with their own mind that strengthens contrast. Opposing thoughts don't need to be fought. They need to be neutralized. Interrupt old narratives immediately. If this is difficult arises, don't continue the mental conversation. Cut it. Don't develop it. Don't analyze it. Replace questioning with directed affirmation. Not something generic, something specific and coherent with your chosen identity. For example, I operate in an organized and growing way. Don't negotiate with limiting beliefs. Don't try to convince the old thought. It doesn't need to be convinced. It needs to lose attention. Reinforce the new pattern whenever contrast appears. Every time you quickly replace the old thought, you weaken the corresponding neural circuit. This is practical reprogramming. Autopilot is not built in one intense moment. It is built in silent repetition. If you neutralize opposing thoughts at the exact moment, you prevent the old pattern from regaining strength, and gradually the new narrative becomes dominant. When the dominant narrative changes, the automatic changes. And when the automatic changes, reality begins to follow without you needing to force it. 4. Stabilize the feeling before the evidence. Here is the point that turns technique into decree. Sustained feeling is command. Many people try to manifest by visualizing a lot, affirming a lot, repeating a lot, but they continue waiting for the feeling to come after external proof. That reverses the logic. Evidence does not create the state. The state creates the evidence. Choose the dominant emotion you want to sustain. Don't choose euphoria. Don't choose intense excitement. Choose stability, calmness, silent conviction, confidence without tension. Train your body to recognize this emotion as normal. Observe how you breathe when you're calm, how your shoulders rest when there is no pressure, how your mind slows down when it's not in defense. Now associate that state with your desire. Don't wait for external proof to validate the state. If you wait for proof to feel secure, you continue emitting insecurity. Automatic manifestation requires the feeling to come before validation. Avoid emotional peaks. Peaks create drops. Consistency creates pattern. Convert expectation into silent conviction. Expectation asks when. Conviction affirms I am already becoming. When the feeling stabilizes, autopilot takes over, because the body begins to operate as if that were already part of your reality, and the body sustains the dominant vibrational pattern. 5. Eliminate invisible micro-resistances. Practical 10-minute adjustment manual. Big manifestations are delayed by small incoherences. Micro-resistances are almost imperceptible internal phrases. Maybe it will happen. Let's see if it works. I don't want to be disappointed. These phrases seem like protection, but they are blockage. Now the simple manual to eliminate this daily. First step, for 5 minutes, mentally or on paper, write everything you still doubt about your desire, without filter. Second step, look at each doubt and ask, is this fact or repeated fear? Third step, replace each doubt with a directed and stable version, not exaggerated. Directed. If the doubt is, I don't know if I can, the replacement doesn't need to be, I am amazing. It can be, I am learning to operate at this level. Fourth step, verbally cancel the maybe. Maybe keeps the system on hold. Decision creates movement. Fifth step, stop justifying why it hasn't happened yet. Justification keeps focus on absence. Autopilot works with what you reinforce, not with what you desire. Sixth step, interrupt comparison. Comparison activates the feeling of delay. The feeling of delay activates scarcity. Scarcity interrupts flow. Seventh step, replace anxious monitoring with active trust. Active trust means continuing to live, act, and breathe without constantly checking if it has already happened. Micro-resistances are invisible, but they accumulate strength. Eliminating them daily keeps the field clear, and a clear field allows automatic manifestation. 6. Inspired action as vibrational confirmation. Autopilot does not mean passivity. It means precision. Inspired action is not born from urgency. It is born from clarity. Be attentive to calm and objective impulses. Anxious impulse accelerates the heart. Aligned impulse brings calm and focus. Act immediately when there is internal clarity. Do not postpone inspired action. Delay creates noise. When you feel calm conviction, that is the right moment. Avoid actions driven by fear. If you are acting to prove something, compensate for insecurity, or avoid frustration. That action reinforces the old pattern. Make choices coherent with the desired scenario. If you want financial expansion, treat decisions with responsibility and vision. If you want a healthy relationship, respond with emotional maturity. If you want professional growth, position yourself firmly. Each step confirms identity, and identity repeatedly confirmed becomes automatic. Autopilot is not born from intention. It is born from coherent repetition between thought, emotion, and behavior. When that consolidates, you don't need to remind the universe. The universe responds to the dominant pattern, and the dominant pattern begins to operate on its own. 7. Turn repetition into permanent programming. Autopilot is not born from intensity. It is born from familiarity. What you repeat with sufficient presence stops feeling like effort and becomes identity. And sustained identity becomes stable reality. Most people repeat scarcity without realizing it. Small complaints, irony about money, doubts disguised as prudence, comments like, "Life is just like that." All of this is emotional repetition. Now you will strategically reverse this. Create structured and specific affirmations, not generic like, "I am rich," but structured like, "I operate with constant growth. My decisions generate expansion. I become more capable every day." Repeat with presence and not mechanically. The mind ignores empty repetition, but it responds to conscious repetition. When you say something with clear intention, the brain begins updating the internal reference. Use short and frequent visualization, not long and exhausting sessions. Quick, direct, natural scenes. 30 seconds, imagining a conversation inside the new reality. 30 seconds feeling stability, while looking at a bigger number. 30 seconds assuming the posture of someone who already lives it. Integrate the new narrative into daily conversations. Avoid speaking of yourself as someone limited. Don't joke about your own scarcity. Language shapes identity. Make the new pattern more familiar than the old one. When the new begins to feel normal, the old loses strength. And when it loses strength, autopilot switches command. 8. Enter the state of silent receiving. Automatic manifestation requires real openness. You don't control the how, you control the state. Relax the need to monitor the process. Constant checking is a sign of doubt. Constantly watching is a sign of insecurity. Allow unexpected paths. Autopilot works best when you don't try to steer every detail. Many manifestations arrive through routes you didn't predict. Accept small advances as valid evidence. Most people ignore early signs because they expect something grand, but the field works through gradual approximation. Don't minimize synchronicities. Don't dismiss small opportunities. Don't ignore subtle invitations. Each small adjustment confirms alignment. Maintain an internal posture of readiness, not anxiety. Readiness. Readiness is the state of someone prepared to receive, but not pressuring it to happen. Silent receiving accelerates more than forced effort. 9. Protect your mental field with conscious discipline. Without maintenance, autopilot returns to the old pattern, because the old is known. Mental protection is not paranoia, it is strategy. Reduce exposure to environments that reinforce scarcity, conversations that normalize failure, content that feeds fear, people who constantly discredit. Select stimuli that reinforce expansion, not as escape, as direction. Make internal adjustments before reacting externally. If something unexpected happens, don't enter automatic reaction. Breathe, recalibrate. Choose a response coherent with the new state. Recalibrate your focus every day. It doesn't need to be long, it needs to be consistent. Preserve conviction as priority. Conviction does not shout, it remains. Manifesting on autopilot is not magic. It is assumed identity, stabilized emotion, directed thought, coherent action repeated until it becomes natural. When your internal state becomes a fixed pattern, reality does not need to be forced. It follows, and when it follows, it seems easy, but it's not luck. It is conscious vibrational programming installed with maturity.